Welcome, and thank you for attending our broadcast today. This morning, I'm talking about sensing and finding one's direction. I'm going to start with a legend about the Buddha. It says, a man of pure heart wishes to see the Buddha, but his attention was taken up with all sorts of things. His hands did not catch hold of these wise images, nor did his eyes penetrate objects of worship. The manifestation did not come. Finally, as he bent low in prayer, the seeker felt as if the thread of a spider web had descended upon his forehead. When he brushed it away, he heard a clear voice ring out, "Why do you reject my hand? My ray has followed you. Allow me to embrace you." Then the solar serpent within the man began to tremble, and he found the thread that he had brushed away. And in his hands, it turned into 40 pearls, each of which bore the image of the Buddha. In the center was a stone, and on it was inscribed valor, despair, and joy. The follower of the Buddha received joy because he knew the path to it. There's a verse in Lisa Moria's garden that says, "Onward to battle, to battle, to battle. I hear the call and bow my head before the command of the blessed Lord." To hear the command is to have a sense of direction. I was thinking on my way over here today how truly it is a blessing to be a young one and to have a sense of direction. So many of our young ones today not only don't have direction, they don't have a sense of direction. They're not given an education about having purpose, and that purpose that leads the person to direction. And that direction is sensed. It's part of that inner part of us, our soul, our divine spark, which has a purpose for this life, gives us a sense. But when we're born into the mundane world, and our family and our siblings and our environment is buried in the mundaneness of life, oftentimes that sense is covered up and has to be found again. But again, those young ones that have that sense, born with this sense, being sensitive to that sense of direction, it is very interesting to recognize with them. Some people will think that to have a sense of direction is boring. They would be called a person like Johnny One Note, that they can only do one thing. But it's just the opposite of that. Your purpose in life can be education. Let's say it's education. Or let's say it's to be a scientist. But to be an educator and to be a scientist requires a holistic education, a holistic understanding of education, or a holistic understanding of science. It's like this young boy that I've lately been watching his interviews. I think he's 12 years old now. His name is Soborner Isaac Berry, and he's a physicist and a mathematician. He already has his PhD, and he's considered a genius. But I consider him more than that, at least at this time in his life, because he's not Johnny One Note. He's not just a physicist or just a mathematician. He observes people and human nature. He learns about education, what kind of education children are receiving today. And he says, now this is a 12-year-old, but his first speech about the broken education was when he was 7. And he talked about also the multiplicity and the beauty and the unity of religion, how religion is separative, and yet it's supposed to all be one and filled with life and love and beauty. This is a 7-year-old talking. This young man has a sense of direction. Granted, extraordinarily, at his age, but why not? And his father would give him one challenge every year, and that challenge would be his birthday to be successful or not on his birthday by meeting that challenge. And the challenge always was a problem-solving challenge. And it required the young boy to interview people and to learn from their point of view how to meet the challenge, whatever that challenge was, that his father gave to him. That's giving that young boy a sense of direction. To hear the command is to have a sense of direction. So command is not somebody yelling at you or beating you with a baseball bat. That's a horrible image. That is not what command means. Command is a connection between yourself and your soul, and that soul is giving you a note that represents the call, and you're responding to that command or that call. To hear the command is to have a sense of direction. The ears that hear the command of the blessed Lord are those who have a sense of direction. They have heard the call of cosmic direction, the call of the heart of the cosmos. The sense of direction is found in our mind, in our mental body. Having a sense of direction keeps us striving forward. Even when you are in your latter part of life, you are still moving forward, moving in cosmic direction. You are being called home, and you are responding to the call. Our galaxy, the Milky Way, is in our solar system. Our Milky Way has cosmic direction. Our galaxy has purpose and a direction. The great life that is ensouling the Milky Way has a specific direction. And you and I and every human being is going to feel that direction, awakening and unfolding without resistance and entering into that cosmic rhythm. But most do not have that direction yet. To know your direction, you must have a special sense. Just as birds have that kind of sense of direction. For example, homing pigeons. Homing pigeons have a sense of direction and they go to their place. Humanity has lost that sense of direction. How do you know this? By chaos. When there's no direction, there's chaos. To have that sense of direction is hearing the call. The call that is broadcast all over the world, not to one specific person or one specific religion or one specific country. It is a call that is heard all over the world. And it is from the Most High, calling the children back home. But the call is not yet finding a response because humanity has lost that sensitivity. They've lost that sense. And when humanity finds that sense and develops that sense, you know what's going to happen. Chaos will resolve into harmony, and things are going to change. And this is what happens in our own life. Think about how it happened in your own life. When and how you responded to that call. Just think about it for a minute. Remember how your life changed so dramatically and beautifully? Now you have direction. It was like having a compass that was looking to the north. The north, or we could say the North Star. And that is our direction. It is do you see, it is the direction of the North Star. I guess that we have a North Star. So it can be either symbolic or real. That direction is our North Star. If you are going south, the needle turns and shows you where north is. If you're going east, the needle shows again. That is the north. You are going toward the north. So what is going toward north? It means that all the activities of our physical life are going to be goal-fitted. To be goal-fitted means to be in harmony with the goal toward which we are going. To be in harmony with the goal toward which you are going. For example, you are going toward the north. You cannot do things that are harmful to your body. If you are doing harmful things, then you don't have direction. If you are going to be a teacher and you are not studying, you are not disciplining yourself, you do not have enough time, you don't have enough money, you don't have enough energy, then you're not going to be successful. You don't have direction. Let's say that you have a desire to teach Agni Yoga, but you don't engage in a regular rhythmic meditation or rhythmic and focused study, or you don't even have the humility to allow others to teach you how to teach, thinking, I already know it all. But the teaching tells us that it takes many, many lifetimes to be qualified to teach the teaching. It is a serious matter to teach the teaching and misdirect people through your lens of distortion, through misdirection. I just read an article in a well-known theosophical magazine about Nicholas Roerich and Agni Yoga. It was partly nice, but it was also partly distorted. The writer had a superficial knowledge of the paintings of Nicholas Roerich and Agni Yoga and its history. To distort the teaching, which this article did, is a spiritual crime. But to be prepared and trained and share the teaching is a great joy for us all. and creates a sense of purpose and life direction. When you have a direction, when you feel the direction, then you're going to harmonize all your physical activities toward that direction. For example, Christ. Christ was a dynamic person. He tried to overcome everything that was difficult and make himself a master of difficulties. When he was teaching, he said, "The kingdom of God must be taken by violence." Think about what that means, what it means to us. How do we take the kingdom? How do we take the kingdom of God? By violence. Violence is an interesting word if we don't understand the esoteric significance of it. The esoteric significance of the word violence, or taking the kingdom of God by violence, means through striving and force, soul or spiritual labor. Striving or force, soul or spiritual labor, and energy. If you are looking for easy things, you're going to be a weak person. Isn't that interesting? If you are looking for something easy to do, then it makes you a weak person. Only difficult things make us a powerful person. It makes us an Agni yogi. Once King Akbar, in the midst of the state council, ordered that the book of laws be brought to him. On the book appeared a small scorpion. The meeting was interrupted, and the counselors gazed at this small poisoned insect until the servants killed it. Akbar remarked, "The smallest miscreant, one who cannot obey rules or can suspend or defer judgment pertaining to the state laws, are very small." It was just a little bug. And this little scorpion stopped the entire meeting. This one little bug stopped this entire important meeting. And Akbar is disgusted. Thus also on the path to the fiery world, the most insignificant detail can do harm. So you have to watch. Take it outside. Only the heart can determine the fine point of balance between striving and caution. If the minds of all of the group of statesmen had become dumb at the sight of an insignificant scorpion, then a cobra would throw an army into retreat. A warrior can be intimidated by a mouse if in his heart burns not the fire of faith and striving. Do you see? To take the kingdom of God by violence means by the fire of faith and striving, and not to wait and see what happens. I know some of you have been challenged with difficult things in your life for several years now. I observe these things with compassion, even at times joy. For with each success you have, I know you have direction in your life. That you have not only heard the call, but that you have responded to the call. We call this the hearing of the call. So what does it mean to go toward the direction? It means that all the activities of your physical life are going to be goal-fitted. So keep that word in your mind. If what I am doing is goal-fitted, then I have a sense of direction. If my actions are not goal-fitted, then my actions do not fit into my life purpose, which means I have lost my sense of direction. If you turn against your goal and the soul whispers in your ear that you must turn north, and you go north, then you have direction. You're back on point. If you do not respond to that whisper in your ear, then you're not going to have that sense of direction. When you have a direction, when you feel the direction, then is when you harmonize all of your activities toward that direction. I was thinking about, maybe 20 years ago or 30 years ago. I was young 30 years ago. I still can remember that time. And my dear, dear friend one day, she was so serious and sat me down and she said, "I'm very concerned about you." And I said, "What do you mean?" And she said, "Basically, you are a jack of all trades and a master of none." I was so shocked by that. And I really had to make an assessment of what she was saying. And from that, I learned, just like I was telling this story earlier, they have a sense of direction as not being a Johnny one-note person. Like for myself, I'm an educator. I started teaching young ones how to play the violin when I was young. When I was in college, my college instructor had me teach music history to his students. Music. And then I started studying the teachings. And within the teaching are so many different elements to learn, to educate yourself with. She thought because I was engaged in all of these various activities that I was a jack of all trades and not a master of one. And what happens is that it takes time for all those different points to come together. But always coming together, there's a nucleus. And that nucleus is your sense of direction, is your soul. You won't find, it's like with this young genius, you won't find someone like that who is so narrowly focused that he loses sight of the whole. See, and that's the Agni yogi, the one who has a nucleus without losing sight of the whole. When you have a direction, when you feel the direction, then you harmonize all of your physical activities to that direction. You are like a magnet that polarizes and orients millions of iron fillings in the same direction, in patterns. When you find the direction, your physical cells and your etheric, emotional and mental atoms become a symphony in the keynote of the direction. It is just like you are an orchestra, and every part of you is tuning its instruments. But when the leader comes and stands there, the orchestra starts. You're also the leader. The orchestra now starts because the orchestra has direction. Every part of your nature now has that sense of direction. Your creativity now has direction. So, for example, you want to become a teacher of the ageless wisdom. You must have that direction in your heart, and you must begin to renounce all the things in your life that take you south instead of north. As soon as you begin to prepare yourself As soon as you begin to study and meditate and make yourself ready, a teacher will come and you will begin your creative destiny. Your creativity has direction now. This is very important. To develop that direction in you, you're going to do 3 important exercises. As much as you can do, you're going to manifest beauty and love and truth. In everything that you do, you're going to manifest beauty, love, and truth. This is what puts us into that sense of direction. Beauty, love, and truth. Anytime you do anything against beauty, against love, against truth, you must stop. Because if you are not in this direction, then you're going to begin to go east or south or west and lose your way to north. You lose the direction. When you lose the direction, then you become a phony. You become a hateful person, or you become a disruptive person. You become ugly in your physical, emotional, and mental activities. And you don't care anymore. Why is that? We know so many people like this in the world today because they've lost their direction. If you are teaching the ageless wisdom and lose your direction, you're going to turn people against the beauty, against the love, against the truth of the teaching. They will see that you are a hypocrite. When you have lost the direction, your orchestra becomes chaos. Your physical cells and your etheric, emotional, mental atoms become chaos, which means you lose your health, especially your mental health, in proportion to losing the direction. If 10% of you loses direction, then 10% of that 10% is your sickness. And it increases then because your atoms, cells, and the systems in your body, in your emotional and mental body, are not functioning harmoniously like the orchestra as a symphony. So you've lost your direction. The spiritual life is personal. It is an individual discipline within yourself so that you transform yourself. Daily, you must have at least 15 minutes to do these things if you want to have that sense of direction. So it is important to strive or to develop this sense of direction. Sitting in silence. This is interesting. Sitting in silence is a way to find the direction. This is the practical side of it. When you are going to make a decision, for example, you sit down, you take 10 deep breaths. Don't think about making that decision. Just take the 10 breaths, relax, and keep silent, and ask for direction. When a person loses a sense of direction, they become an animal. The difference between animals and human beings is that one has a sense of direction and the other did not develop it yet. It's like my little Sheltie puppy, Maggie. I am her sense of direction. She follows me everywhere I go. So I have to make sure I'm leading her, to the right spot. Think about it. If you are a parent, you're going to be leading your child in such a way that they discover and they become sensitive to that sense within themselves of direction. It starts with instinct. That sense of direction starts with instinct. Then conscience, And then it becomes a sense of direction. Daily you must have maybe even half an hour to check yourself. And at night, a half an hour before you sleep where you can check yourself. So that's an hour and 15 minutes. 15 minutes to sit down and ask yourself, what direction are you going today? 30 minutes to check yourself, and then 30 minutes again before you go to bed at night. I guarantee you, when you do this, you will not lose your sense of direction because you become your own observer. You can ask yourself, was I walking in the right direction today? What did I do that was going in the wrong direction? I said this, but no, it did not fit in the right direction. I did these things. No, they don't fit here. I was thinking in this way, but no, that didn't fit the right direction. When you eliminate the things that are not fitting the direction, the sense of direction becomes clearer and clearer. When the sense of direction is really developed, then it becomes your intuition. So you see, from instinct to conscience to sense of direction to intuition. This is the process. In intuition, you know how to walk. Just like a musician, you are composing and orchestrating your life in the keynote of the direction. Try to develop this sense. It is only the sense of direction that will make you able to find Shambhala, the Father's home. There's a great joy and expansion when you are going back home, and the sense of direction takes you there. From the physical point of view, the sense of direction will give you greater health to your body. Karma. Look how interesting it is. Karma is produced when you do things that are out of direction. This is karma, when you do things that are out of direction. If you do things that are not in harmony with direction, you create karma, and karma makes you late. It increases your suffering, your pain, your physical troubles, so that you pay whatever wrong you did and you find your direction. Karma is a blockage on our path. You must clear and pay that karma to find the next direction. But if you have the direction, you do not have karma, or you do not have bad karma. You don't have bad karma because direction does not create bad karma. Isn't that interesting? Now, if you sit down and you think, who is controlling? What is controlling my life? Is my body controlling my life? Of course, 80 or 90%. My emotions, my thoughts, where are you? Its effects are controlling you. If these effects are controlling you, then you are not healthy. If you are a cause, you are creating and recreating your life according to the patterns of the direction. So that's another key phrase you want to think about. Patterns of the direction. So for example, take a look at your emotional nature. If you do not create tension and pressures in your emotional nature, your system, because any pressure, any tension in your emotional body will reflect to the etheric centers. I know this is a little wordy, but think about it. Then these etheric centers are going to reflect to the glands of the body, and your body's going to suffer. This is what pain and pressure does. When you take the disharmonious vibration out of your emotional body becomes an orchestra, is a symphony. You don't have karma there. Only love and peace will radiate out from you. The same thing for the mental plane. When you have direction, your mental body is creative. Think about this. When you have direction, your mental body now has creativity. Because the divine energy within you is being absorbed and creatively expressed through your mental body. Your mind is pure. Mental tension and mental disturbances reflect immediately in the etheric body, and the etheric body then reflects to your heart, to your stomach, and to your kidneys, and it is coming from your mind. All of these things, distortion, disharmony, that are absorbed in the etheric body and reflect back to these organs. And we become sick. Our imagination immediately produces changes in our body because whatever thought forms or emotional forms we build, they channel a corresponding energy in our system. It's just like you're angry. You're so angry and you start yelling. What happens to the person you are angry toward and that you are yelling at? Are they going to smile at you? If you're a common man, no. They'll yell back at you even louder than you yelled at them. They'll be more angry than you were in your anger, and your relationship dissolves. There's no harmony, there's no love, there's no truth, there's no beauty. If you have right thinking, you are filling your aura with light and love and power. People go to teachers to find direction. It is impossible to find a teacher to give you direction. No one can teach us to have direction, just as no one can teach us how to smell or how to hear or how to touch or how to feel. It is a sense that must be developed within ourselves. This is so important. Our whole life will change. Our home life will change. Our relationships will change. Our creativity and understanding will change. All of our relationships change once we feel the direction. So now in closing, let me share some words by Nicholas Rourke, as recalled by one of his close students, which creates a beautiful image about finding a sense of direction. The future exists. That is why we have come here. Not for defamation, not for terror, but we pass here for mutual labor, passing through, for knowledge, for enlightenment. We're passing through life, right? For enlightenment. Let us then take hold of this universal light. Let us achieve the transfiguration of the world, the preordained, the predestined. All peoples know that the site of the holy men is on the mountains, on the peaks. From the peaks comes revelation. In caves and upon the summits lived the rishis. There where the rivers find their sources, where the eternal ice has preserved the purity of whirlwinds, where the dust of meteorites carries a purifying armor from the distant worlds, There the rising glow. There is directed the striving of the human spirit. By their very difficulty, the mountain paths attract one. There the unexpected occurs. There the people's thought moves toward the ultimate. There each path promises an unprecedented novelty and gives promise of the hewing of the new facets of tremendous outline. Upon the difficult paths, he said, upon the dangerous mountain passes, stands the images of Lord Maitreya, of the resplendent future. Who made the effort to place them there? Whose was the labor? But often they stand gigantic, as if not humanly created. Every traveler adds a little stone to the growing life. Does one's heart ridicule this stone offered to the steps of the future? No. The difficult and dangerous path opens one's heart. One does not ridicule, but smiling in benevolence, one adds his stone also to the laying of the step of the all-containing light. And that was written by a student, but they were Nicholas Roerch's words. It's pretty profound. Takes our thinking out of the mundane into the super mundane, doesn't it? So thank you for your participation this morning. Thank you for listening. Thank you for joining us on the broadcast.